I can't cruise because I can't afford to pay double the price. What cruises have no single supplement so I can sail solo? These are just a couple of the statements and questions I get about solo cruising, but is this really true? Is paying double occupancy significantly more? Is no single supplement more affordable? Let's find out. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Cheryl, Sig the Solo Cruiser, and I create and share content on solo, introvert, and gluten-free cruising. Now today, I'm continuing my series of looking into pricing for the solo cruiser, and at the end, I have 4 tips to help you find the best pricing for your solo cruise. Now let's first do a quick recap of the past few videos. I first looked at single traveler cabins on Carnival, and then broke down the NCL solo pricing cabin. And last week we took a look at Virgin Voyages versus NCL for solo pricing and the solo cruiser experience. Now, if you haven't seen those breakdowns, please feel free to check those out. Now today I want to take a look at the no single supplement pricing versus double occupancy. Now I'm presenting this series to encourage those who want to try solo cruising but either think the cost is too high because they have to pay double, or for those who believe that solo cabins always offer the best value or are the most affordable options for solo cruisers. Now today we're going to quickly revisit pricing for solo cabins on Virgin and NCL, and then we're going to use those to compare to similar sailings at double occupancy, with adding in Wi-Fi, gratuities, and drinks. Okay, let's get started. Now for these comparisons, I selected 5-day Caribbean sailings in October of 2025. Now I do have one exception to this, but we'll get into that later. Now first we'll look at Virgin. Now for Virgin, we selected this Mayan Soul cruise. It's 5 nights on the Valiant Lady. Now we have several options here, but we're first going to look at the Solo Insider, but we're also going to look at the Insider at double occupancy as well. Now, as we see, the Insider cabins, they start at $14.95. Now, if there are cabins available, that's likely going to be our Solo Insider. So we do have that available, and when we price it out, again, I'm going quickly through these because we have a lot to compare. So as we price that out, we see a total of $16.96 for a Solo Insider cabin. And we did price out the Insider cabin at double occupancy for a solo, and that is $2,424. Now let's quickly jump into our NCL sailings. So for our NCL sailing, we're going to look at a 5-day on the Norwegian Getaway, and this is also in October of 2025. So we're going to look at first the Solo Studio cabin, and as we price this out, again, just going right through and pricing it out, we have a total of $1,172.62. However, as we said before, the gratuities aren't included, so we're going to add on the gratuities just to make it a fair comparison across the board. So our gratuities happen to be $100 for this sailing. So our total is $1,272.62. Now don't worry, because just like last week, I put all of this together in one single spreadsheet so that we can look at everything side by side and make an easy comparison. Now just quickly jumping right into pricing a regular Insider cabin at double occupancy for a solo cruiser, that total with gratuities is going to be $1,472.17. So in this case, there's a difference of $201 between the Solo Studio and a regular inside cabin at double occupancy on NCL. But we're going to use both the Virgin and NCL cabin pricing as a comparison against double occupancy. So let's take a look at that now. Now for our double occupancy, we're going to look at first Carnival sailings. So we'll select a sailing, and let's do this 5-day sailing on the Carnival Sunrise. That looks like a nice one. That one's going to Grand Turk, Half Moon Cay, and Celebration Key. So let's check that one out. Now for the cabins, we're going to look at both the upper lower and the inside cabin at double occupancy for a solo cruiser. Carnival does not have official solo cabins. They do recommend the upper lower for solo travelers, but still 2 people can book in that cabin. So when we price out the upper lower and we add in the gratuities, our total is $1,069, and that is at double occupancy. So same for the inside cabin. If we price that out, add in the gratuities, and our total is $1,229. So when we add in the gratuities and Wi-Fi, our upper lower cabin is $1,089. And our inside cabin, if we add in our gratuities and Wi-Fi, the price is $1,129. Now, if you are a drinker, and because NCL has the free at sea, let's take a look at adding in the drinks as well. So if we add in the drinks package for our solo cruiser, that brings our upper lower cabin to $1,443, and our inside cabin is $1,483. Now hold on for just a second, because I know that's a lot of numbers, but before we sum everything up, let's take a look at MSC. So MSC gets a little tricky because I couldn't find a 5-day Caribbean sailing in October of 2025. So I took a look at this 7-day sailing, but I did a little something to try to make it a fair comparison. But first, let's go through the pricing. Now, MSC offers both a cruise only and drinks and Wi-Fi included package. So we're actually going to look at both of these. So the cruise only, if we look at that, it's $1,172, but we still have to add in our gratuities. And adding in gratuities of $112, plus we're adding in the Wi-Fi as well, and that is $213. So our final price comes to $1,497. But on that MSC cabin, if we do the drinks and Wi-Fi package instead, then our final price comes to $1,824. Now, because this is a 7-day sailing, that's really not a good comparison against the other cruise lines that we're doing. So what I did was kind of finagle it a little bit. I took the total price, broke it down to price per day, and then multiplied that by 5 sailing days. Now, no, this is not how cruise line pricing works. It can be a different price per day, per types of sailings, when it sails. A lot of things can factor into the pricing. So this is not one for one. So this is actually just for comparison purposes only. I'm not saying this is how the pricing works. So just for the sake of this comparison, we're going to look at price per day times 5 days just to compare it to the other cruise lines. And with that, we get a total of $1,069 for double occupancy of the inside cabin for a solo cruiser, and that's with Wi-Fi only. But if we drop the Wi-Fi and add the drinks and Wi-Fi package, then it comes to $1,303. So now we're going to put this all on the spreadsheet and look at it all together and do our final comparison. So here was our Virgin Voyages total for our solo insider at $1,696. If we wanted to get a regular insider at double occupancy rate for our solo cruiser, well, that's going to be $2,424. And then we went over to NCL. The solo studio was $1,271, and an inside cabin was $1,472. Now we want to compare those just to see what the differences are for booking a cabin at double occupancy for a solo cruiser on Carnival and MSC. So if we want to make as close of a one-to-one comparison as we can, we're looking at this bottom line here, because this line includes our gratuities, our drinks, and our Wi-Fi. So if we add those in for an upper lower, that's going to be $1,443 on Carnival. And for a regular inside room, that's $1,483. But look how close that is to NCL. So this is double occupancy, especially the solo studio cabin. Now for the solo studio cabin, let's take our upper lower at $1,443 and look at the difference between the solo studio cabin at $1,271. Well, that's a difference of $172. So $172. Now, is that a significant difference that would keep you from solo cruising at double occupancy for nearly the same cruise itinerary at the same time. Now we're looking at pricing only. There may be other factors for you selecting a cruise, the ship, the cruise line, the atmosphere. But right now, for the sake of comparison, we're just looking at pricing. Now, better yet, if we go over here to MSC, and again, this is only an estimate because we don't have an actual 5-day cruise for MSC in the Caribbean around this time. If we were to estimate, we would have a total price with gratuities and Wi-Fi and drinks included as $1,303. And looking at that difference from our solo studio cabin, well, that's a difference of $32. And hopefully $32 would not keep you from sailing solo at a double occupancy rate. And also, if you look at this MSC at $1,300, well, that's for a full size, a regular cabin. So by saving $32, you would move into a smaller cabin. Again, all other factors aside. So what's our final conclusion? Our final conclusion, we have a $212 difference from the highest to the lowest price of double occupancy versus the solo cabins. Our Carnival double occupancy rate is $211 higher than NCL, and our MSC double occupancy rate, well, that's $169 lower than NCL. But if you want to save $32, you can book the solo studio cabin, the much smaller solo studio cabin on NCL. Double occupancy pricing can be the same or slightly lower or higher than solo cabin pricing. So bottom line, just what I'm trying to share here is that no single supplement or double occupancy, consider those just words. The price can be the same, the price can be higher or lower on either end. So here are my tips for finding the best pricing for your solo cruise. Number one, don't focus on single supplement or double occupancy. Focus on the dollars. Number two, first, determine what amenities you want in a cruise experience. Are you a drinker? Do you want Wi-Fi? Or do you want to unplug and disconnect on a cruise? Don't pay for these if these are things that you will not use or enjoy. Next, determine your price range that you want to pay for your cruise experience. And this will be a good time to also determine your budget for your extras, your excursions, your transportation, just to make sure that you're covering everything that you need to cover. And number four, now that you have your price range, search cruise lines and cruises that fall within your price range and choose the best options for you, whether it's double occupancy or a solo cabin, because these are likely to be nearly the same price or in the same neighborhood. Now that's barring a group cruise, a cruise line promotion, travel agent promotions, etc. If it's just a regular booking, they're probably going to be in the same neighborhood. So tell me, what are your thoughts about this comparison? And what are your thoughts about double occupancy versus a single solo supplement versus a solo cabin? Drop a note in the comments and let me know. Well, that's all I have, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I hope you will hit that thumbs up on the way out. And if you like this content and would like to see more and you're not subscribed to my channel, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to know when I post a new video. Also consider joining my membership. I have 2 membership levels for behind the scenes content, additional tips for solo cruising, my solo cruising plans, and more. All right, well, until the next time, bye-bye.